a little askew.
I know. Well, he was knocked askew. I mean, he didn't put himself askew. He's knocked askew from that backside, getting hit and then getting knocked into the ground, and then he got that ball into Kevin Alexander. Watch this.
But the ball bounced. Apparently, it's incomplete.
But that's throwing into a crowd. I mean, he still got it through all those guys and all those coverage guys, and he threw that from a position of askew.
Yeah, it did hit the ground too. Here's Brown back in the pocket. Has some time this time and throws over the head of David Patton. And so the Giants punting unit will come on.
You know, you look at the difference between offense and defense, and to play offense you really need 11 guys all on the same page, all playing together. Now defense, you can put in guys and they don't all have to play together.
72 on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
There was a flag on the play called against Oben.
On Robin Oben, yeah, the left tackle of the Giants. But it's hard to play offense if guys haven't worked together and played together and all that. Now defense, you can do it. So when you get a mixture of guys playing offense that haven't played together, the defense really has a big advantage.
Cowboys came with an attempt to block the punt, which takes a Cowboy bounce and out of bounds at about the 25. Here is, in my opinion at least, the biggest reason for the Giants' success this year, that turnover ratio.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, those are the things that they've done well, and they've done that by playing real strong defense and aggressive and pursue and doing all those things. And
Wade Wilson, the Cowboy quarterback, and he fumbles the exchange from center. And again, the Giants say we got it. And again, they're correct.
This is unbelievable. This is a definition of sloppy football, and I don't care. I don't care what there's no reason for this. I mean, Wade Wilson is a 17-year vet, and to come in, when you do these kinds of things, you just are not ready to compete. You're not ready to play football.
You don't want to play.
And whether you blame the center or the quarterback or whomever, this is about as sloppy. When you can't get that part of the football playing done, then you are not really into this game.
It's time to really take a closer look at what's going on. Stoltenberg is back at center. Eric Lane gets the carry. And here we go. Leon Lett and Roman Oben. The whistle didn't bother them.
The guy that had the penalty. Remember the last time the Giants had the ball. Let's just look at that last exchange again. You see Wade Wilson has his right hand up there, and the ball hits him right in the right hand. Now Clay Shiver has to take out, so Clay Shiver is going forward. Wade Wilson is coming backwards, but the ball did hit him in the right hand.
Eric Pegram gets the carry down to about the 21.
You wonder how you can play the 16th regular season game. They say the season's too long. They have too many preseason games.
Of your 17th year?
Yeah, training camp is too long. They say all those things. And, well, if you're going to make that argument, then you better be able to get a snap.
Well, I don't think you can make that argument.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think they need the preseason. I think they need training camp. I think they need to practice during the week.
Everybody has to expect to play every week. Here's Dave Brown. He's going to take off with it. And he's hit down outside the 20. Chad Henning.
We talked about the Giants centers, and look at this. Remember Brian Williams? He was kind of their leader, and he was going to be their center, and then he had the eye injury, and he's out for the year. And then they went to Jerry Reynolds, and he hurt his knee. And then to Derek Engler, and he broke an ankle. And then Lance Scott. He's really done a pretty good job in there. And now we're playing with Brian Stoltenberg. He's the 5th center to play, but Lance Scott is their regular center, and he's filled in And I've watched him on film, and he's doing a pretty good job.
Daluiso from 38 yards out, and he pulled it. No good. It's still 20-7. We're in the third quarter, 2:43 left to play in the third. Emmitt Smith looking on. Next Sunday, I guess the best thing you could do, John, is check your local listings to find out where you're going to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know you're going to be one of two places. You're either going to be in the Meadowlands with the Giants. They'll probably be playing Minnesota. Or you're going to be at Tampa Bay, where it looks like the Tampa Bay Bucks will host the Detroit Lions unless Minnesota or Detroit loses and the Redskins win.
Well,
and
the
then
Redskins are winning.
Yeah, and then Minnesota, Detroit has to lose, and that would put the Redskins in. But
so it looks like you'll head either for Tampa or New York.
Well, I don't know where I'm going or when I'm going or how I'm going, because you know what happened to me this morning? And I
do.
Lo and behold, I wake up this morning, my bus is broke. My bus went and it turned off and didn't turn back on, and we can't make the bus go.
Well, it rained all day yesterday, and it rained hard. And the last thing I heard about the condition of the bus was that Sherman Williams, the ball carrier, ran into Wade Wilson. Last thing I heard was they had put new fuel in the bus, which had some water in it. Now, I don't know if it's rainwater or what.
Yeah, but the bus is broke. I mean, the bus doesn't go.
But we came in a car, I know that.
So now you have someone that doesn't know where he's going, doesn't know when he's going, or doesn't know how he's going.
Stick around, and you and I can fly to wherever we're going.
No. We'd stick around the rest of our lives, I guarantee it, and it would never take off. That's what I know.
Somebody won a contest earlier this year. Here's Wade Wilson throwing for Michael Irvin, incomplete. Somebody won a contest, and the challenge was the person who could sound the most like John Madden with a 747 taking off from the airport. And all the winner of the contest, all they did was scream.
Yeah, that's right. Scott Galbraith down there, the Dallas Cowboy backup tight end that they're working on.
And that puts them down to one tight end, David LaFleur. Eric Bjornsson out with a broken leg. Fair catch signaled for by Amani Toomer. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League. Is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL is prohibited.
That was Eric Pigram of the Giants that we just see on the cart there, Pat, that they're just taking off the field.
Going in, we are informed, for x-rays on his ribs.
These are the types of things that, you know, Jim Fossil talked about, that you want to play well, you want to win, and you don't want to get anyone hurt. You know, that's the balancing act he's talking about.
That's Eric Lane. It's hard to play and not get hurt.
No. There's only one way to play. I mean, you have to play, and you have to play all out, and you have to give everything you can. And
there's a guy we were talking about before playing on two very, very bad knees, Tony Tolbert.
Yeah, I don't know if those knees have any more in them.
I don't either.
You know, because when to play defensive line, you have to be able to bend your knees, and you always have to play in a bent knee position. And Tony Tolbert is having trouble bending his knees.
Brown gives to Lane again. Lane gets up near a first down.
That's always a good sign when a guy runs up the tunnel. I mean, the bad news is you see Corey Miller, your starting linebacker, go in the tunnel. That's the bad news. The guy's going in the tunnel while they're still playing football. But the good news is he was running.
One of the great rewards, I think, of winning your division and finishing with the best record is the week off at the end of the season, like the Packers have, like the 49ers have.
And the Giants are going to win their division, but they aren't going to have that because they're going to have to host a wild card game next week.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Giants 20, the Cowboys 7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
Trapped in Paradise.
Isn't life great?
Tuesday at 8, 7 Central.
It's your last chance for year-end savings on all remaining 97s and new 98s at the Larry Miller Auto Mall. Visit Happy Day Ford for 0 down and no payments until February of 98. Right now, get 1.9% or $2,000 cash back on 97 Ford Taurus. Every Ford is priced to move with financing as low as 1.9%. Cash back up to $2,000. It's your last chance for the year's best savings at Happy Day Ford in the Larry Miller Auto Mall under the giant American flag.
Good things are waiting for you at Michael's Furniture Showplace.
Hi, this is Marty Goffin. For the best selection of furniture anyplace, all in one place, it's Michael's Furniture Showplace. From leather to cotton, contemporary to traditional, we have the style, quality, service, selection, and savings. For over 36 years, we always have the best furniture for the best price.
Good things are waiting for you at Michael's Furniture Showplace.
Hi, I'm Jane Worcester Scott. This holiday season, you can add more value to your gifts by attaching decorative Idaho Lottery gift tags. Each unique gift tag features one of my paintings portraying a colorful winter scene. In addition to receiving a personal accent, the lucky people on your list can scratch and win up to $1,000 cash or this signed and framed original painting I call Winter Pastoral. Idaho Lottery gift tags, the perfect way to wrap up your gifts.
The Doctor is in. Frasier, weeknights at 10 on Fox 12.
We hope the same thing to you. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Dave Brown gives to Eric Lane again.
See what they're doing? They're really playing a 8-man up now. Omar Stottmeyer is a strong safety now, 24 for the Cowboys, and he not only got up there and read it, he just blitzed. He just ran right into the hole because the Giants are trying to make a short game out of this, and the Cowboys know it, so they're just playing run. Watch Stottmeyer right here. I mean, this is a run, and he just runs right into the hole, and he stops them before they have a chance. So that's the eighth man playing aggressive on your side of the ball.
Brad Maynard back to punt for the Giants, and Kevin Mathis, who almost broke one the last punt return, but was called back by penalty. Mathis fields it. Jumps away from one Giants tackler, but not that one. At the 40, he's taken down. Flag on the play again.
That was way over on the other side. The return is to this side. The flag was way over on the other side, and this one's going to be against the punting team. This is going to be against the Giants here.
Boy, you look around Texas Stadium and you see a lot of blue, a lot of empty seats, not the team colors.
Ineligible member of the kicking team, number 47 downfield. The penalty is declined. First down.
Getting an early start home. And there are quite a few who didn't come at all. Both knees bandaged, Tony Tolbert.
Quick and nimble DeVille with the North Star system. DeVille, for the time of your life.
Beau pantalon.
Beau pantalon.
Hey, she says nice pants.
There's American boy. Dockers, khakis.
Braun Flex Integral. We thought about shaving so you could think about something else. Braun, smart thinking.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Cadillac DeVille for the time of your life. By Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. By Dockers Khakis. Hey, nice pants. And by the Braun Flex Integral. Braun, smart thinking.
The Cowboy quarterback is the redhead. Jason Garrett has replaced Wade Wilson. 1st and 10 at their own 43 for Dallas. LaFleur's the move man. Didn't fumble the snap. Gets it to LaFleur.
You know, the interesting thing here about this Dallas Cowboy offense is Michael Irvin hasn't caught a pass in this game. And he has a string of 107 games with a reception. So I'll guarantee you that, this, game is as close to being over as you can get, but he's in there politicking to get a ball. He's not going to leave this football field until he catches a pass.
That was a 2-yard gain from Garrett to LaFleur. Second 8. That's Sherman Williams. Got a blocker in front. 1st down, Dallas. And again for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown at the Fox Television Center in Hollywood.
Pat, you saw the Washington Philly score. Here's how it happened. Charlie Garner up and over. That brought them within 3. The 2-point conversion is good. It is now a 3-point game in Washington. 6:20 left. Vikings on top by 18 over the Colts. Back to Pat and John.
How about the job Randall Cunningham has done?
I was just going to say, isn't that something? A year ago, Randall Cunningham wasn't even playing. And today he throws 4 touchdown passes.
Sherman Williams again. That's near another 1st down for Dallas. Percy Ellsworth made the stop.
I think Jason Garrett is in there audibleizing. That's one of the things you can go and you just call a run and you'll read the defense, and if they're overloaded to your right, you run to the left. If they're overloaded to your left, then you run to the right. And that's what I think Jason Garrett has done on these last 2 plays here.
There is a very expensive telephone operator there.
Yeah. You know what he gave?
Aikman.
You know what he gave his offensive lineman this week? He gave him an airline ticket, a set of luggage, champagne, and a roadside kit. To his
toolkit. A toolkit.
Yeah, toolkit. Roadside toolkit. And that airline ticket, they can go anywhere they want to. See, he doesn't know how to do this. He's not very experienced. He doesn't work this side of the deal much. In fact, I think he needs that roadside toolkit. And then he still doesn't have the headset on.
You don't have to just use it on the roadside. You could use it anywhere.
Toolkit?
Yeah, it's got everything in it.
Does it have like a monkey wrench and stuff in there?
Yes, it does. Sherman Williams trying to get the 1st down. Don't think he got it.
I think Jerry Jones is going to, make a lot of moves in this offseason. But I think the nucleus is still here for this Cowboy team. I think offensively and defensively. And they have to get some new players. There'll probably be some changing in the coaching. But I don't think he's going to do it today or tomorrow or the next day.
Sherman Williams. That's the 1st down to the 20. Jerry's walking up and down the sidelines like a coach would.
Yeah, I know it is. I mean, he's trying to get anything. Just get something going. Just will him to win. Will him to play well. Have something. Have something to build on. Find someone in there that is happy. And this guy here isn't very happy.
No, he's feeling bad.
Yeah, find someone in there that can make you happy, that can make you feel good about what you're going to do in the offseason, about what you're going to do next year.
Sualua in front of Sherman Williams. Sherman again. Belts in town, inside. The nucleus, Michael Irvin is one of those.
Well, and he's the playmaker, but he hasn't made any plays today. I mean, Jason Sehorn did an excellent job against him, and as of this point, Michael Irvin has yet to catch a pass.
No catches, no yards.
And that's not all Michael Irvin. I mean, part of that is is the line really hasn't blocked that well, and anyone else hasn't gone over, and the Giant defense has had a lot to say about that.
Second and 9.
Seahorn.
Second and 9. Pass incomplete from Garrett to Nicky Sualua. There's Bill Bates, and what a performer he's been. This may or may not be his last contest. He wants to play some more.
Yeah, and you look for 15 years, and Bill Bates came into this league and undrafted, and there was no chance that he was going to make the team.
He defined the word special teams player,
and he also defined the word playing over your head.
Yeah.
Overachiever. I mean, all those things, but tough football player and a real gentleman.
3rd and 9. Clock running. Garrett. The rush comes for Jason Garrett, and down he goes.
Yeah, that was Bernard Holsey there.
Yep.
Holsey played right end. Then they took Strahan out, and they moved Holsey over to left end. And Holsey's playing out here, and he starts up, and then he does a stunt here. You see, this is what we call an end tackle stunt. You see the tackle comes out, and Holsey right there. You see when he goes to the inside and he breaks free, it almost looks like a blitzing linebacker.
And the red zone woes that have haunted the Cowboys all year long come out of hiding again, and they'll try a field goal. Richie Cunningham, who's done a whale of a job, misses. And that's the kind of year it's been from 44 yards. Sad times for Dallas.
What?
Jake, I didn't know who to call. We've been hacked.
Hacked? How?
Over the web. They broke into the R&D server.
Who?
We don't know. Oh, gosh, it must be 4 in the morning where you are. You really can't do anything from there. Why don't you just go back to sleep?
We're asking people to try Wheaties, the breakfast of champions.
You know what I love is the texture. They're crunchy, they don't get soggy. These Wheaties are awesome. It's a great start to the day.
Try the championship taste of Wheaties.
Better eat your Wheaties.
Boys, check it out. Coach.
Check it out.
Dawson, nice tattoo. You've been traded to Miami.
Gonna be a while? Grab a Snickers.
What do you think?
It's a fish.
That's right, a fish. The nest is empty. Your work is done.
So powerful.
It's time to kick back and have some fun.
So agile.
You got the car now.
DeVille with the North Star system.
For who you are now, you're making whoopee.
DeVille for the time of your life.
Oh, look at you.
Oy vey, Hank's mom is dating a nice Jewish man.
Thanks for turning my holiday into a Woody Allen special.
A brand new King of the Hill tonight on Fox.
There's the Moose. What a part of the success of the Dallas Cowboys in recent years he has been. Darrell Johnston.
And I think anytime you talk about the Cowboys and their running game and their offensive line, you have to include Moose Johnston because he was as big a part of that line as any of the linemen were.
Tiki Barber. And there's another guy who really played well without much notice, without a lot of notoriety, but played very steady at a position that's very difficult to play, left tackle. Mark Tuinei.
Yeah, he was a real warrior, and you don't know if any of those guys are going to be back.
Right.
I mean, Bill Bates says he would like to play again. You don't know if Mark Tuinei will, but what a great career Mark Tuinei had. And when you talk about tough guys, all the Cowboys will tell you he was the toughest.
Yep. Nobody crossed him. Here's Dave Brown, throws it out of bounds. And Darrell Johnston says and has said that his surgery was very successful and that he does want to come back and play again. But with the back surgery and the neck surgery that he had, a lot of people are very apprehensive about that.
Especially the type of job that he does. I mean, you know, the type of blocking, a fullback, the lead blocking on that draw play. Everything that he does and every block that he makes, he has to lead with his head.
And did. 3rd and 11.
And did better than most.
Brown tried to dump it over the middle. Intended for Tiki Barber, but didn't find the target.
Now you see these guys here. You see Strahan there and regular defensive players that aren't in there that have already been taken out. They're starting to think of next week already. It's tough. You know, you're the Giant. You know you're going to host a playoff game, but you don't know who to get ready for. You know, I mean, you can't say, okay, I'm going to start getting ready. Well, who? For Minnesota? Probably Minnesota. You know, if you want to say, okay, pick a team that you want to, you know, start getting revved up for, then start getting revved up for the Vikings.
But the coaching staff needs to know. Start getting game plans ready and start their preparation so they might be able to advance. This is Mathis. Kevin Mathis. Slowed up by Brad Maynard, the kicker, and that enabled the rest of the coverage to catch up with him.
That was a heck of a play by Maynard, just doing that, getting out there and holding his ground and being able to make that play in the open field. This is pretty good.
Yep.
Where you get your feet squared, your shoulders squared, and you make him make a move and hold him up until your friends get there.
45-yard return.
I don't know if there'll be snow.
Turning Leaf Chardonnay. There's a turning leaf on the label. And changing ideas about wine in the bottle.
It's all in how you use it.
With formidable strength, a distinctly individual style, and the strongest V8 in its class, this is the most powerful Sierra in GMC's history. Sierra gives you the style to stand apart from the herd. And the power to pull it. Sierra by GMC, putting you comfortably in command.
My name is Rocky. I'm head of field security. On game day, it's my job to stay focused and composed. But it ain't easy.
8:59 left to play. The Giants 20, Dallas 7. The Cowboys ball at the Giant 35. Sherman Williams and Herschel Walker were the two backs. The ball goes to Herschel. And Herschel gets inside the 25, gets a first down. Scott Gallion made the stop.
I wonder what Michael Strahan told Bernard Holsey when he went out and told him to take a little of this Eric Williams right here.
Yep.
Watch Eric Williams, how he gets in the huddle. He even has a different stance in the huddle. He kind of gets all cockeyed, and sometimes he'll even take a knee.
Can't keep his shirt in.
No, big guys can't. But now he has Holsey instead of Strahan.
3:22.
Garrett, intended for Michael Irvin, incomplete. You know, you talk about coaches of the year and who did the best job. Certainly Jim Fossil would have to be one of our nominees, but there are a lot of them around the league who've done outstanding job. None better than he, I think.
I think that he's done an outstanding job coming in there. You know, he didn't have a lot to work with, and no one picked this team. I mean, you know, I remember if I had to say, I would have picked them in the bottom.
Dead last.
Then they start off 1 and 3, and You know, and everyone says, I told you so. I told you they weren't a good team, and then they come to win the division, and boy, he deserves a heck of a lot of credit.
Garrett rolls out. Gets it to Scott Galbraith. Yesterday, we spoke to Giant head coach Jim Fossil about the reasons for the team's success this season.
Well, our signature in the game has got to be, as it has been all year. That's run the football, stop the other team's run, win the turnover battle. When we play physical in the trenches, we control the line of scrimmage, we make the other team make mistakes. And that's what I'd really like to see us do, is play a smart game, force them into errors, capitalize on their mistakes, and play aggressively.
And that's what they've done. Sherman Williams down to the 6, a flag on the play.
You know, and that's one of the biggest things. I've always said that, you know, we talk about the game, and it's a passing game, it's a quarterback's game, and it really is. But until you can do those things, you have to be able to run the ball. But the most important thing, I think, is stopping the run. If you're going to be a championship team,
10-yard penalty, still first down.
You're going to be a championship team, you have to stop the run. And the Cowboys just a couple of years ago were a championship team, and they lost players, and then they lost confidence, and
they got older,
and they don't have much going for them now. But you know, but you can't use that excuse of losing players, because
everybody
that's
does.
one thing. You know, the Giants have lost a lot of players. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, but you know what I like about the Giants? They don't talk about it.
Here's Garrett, just does get rid of it. Across the middle. Pass caught by Michael Irvin, and that's his first of the day. So his streak stays alive. 108 consecutive games now in which he's caught a pass.
And you knew that they were going to get him the ball, and there was some way that he was going to catch a pass. Watch Jason Garrett, though. Watch his hit that he takes from that backside just as he throws the ball. Whew.
2nd and 14. Garrett again. Wheels it outside to Walker, who makes the catch and goes out of bounds at about the 13-yard line by Scott Galen.
And again, it's the same guy. That's Antonio Edwards. Watch him come again from this side. He's going to come right here, and he's the guy that hit Jason Garrett before. And watch him right here. Boom! He hits Jason Garrett just as he throws the ball. He's beaten Larry Allen, who I think is one of the best offensive linemen of football, but more as a guard than as a tackle. But he's beaten him twice in a row, Antonio Edwards has.
Playing in a different position. He picked for the Pro Bowl basically on his play at guard, but that's a different game at left tackle.
I bet Edwards doesn't beat him on this one.
No, he didn't. Pass is caught by LaFleur. LaFleur gets to the 10. That's not enough for a first down. Stopped by Conrad Hamilton. Eric Williams and Agnew, Ray Agnew. And they're going to go for this when no field goal team makes the appearance.
Well, there's no reason to kick a field goal when you got 5 minutes left to go in your season. Your record is 6-9. You're about ready to go 6-10. This is big for this Giant defense. These guys that are in there playing, they're going to go after the Cowboys on this play.
Galbraith was the move man. He stays in the block and now checks out. And Jason Garrett rolled right into the sack by Agnew.
You knew that they were going to go. I mean, if they wanted that defense wanted that, they said, you know, we're not going to get him here, let him go on 4th down, the heck with it. You know, we came in their house, we came in here. The Giants, and we've lost a lot of games here, but today isn't going to be the day. We're going to go after him, we're going to get him, we're going to stay after him all day, and they have.
4:54 left to play. 20-7, the Giants lead it.
In a GMC Yukon, you may welcome a little challenge. A little mountain climbing. With horsepower that leads its class, Yukon dominates the road.
Even towing feels like child's play.
Yukon by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
A
got a special treat for you.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome. Now, don't be late, honey.
Good news. Reese's Nutrageous bars are now 20% bigger.
You know, racing for interstate means my battery has enough power to run my car, as well as some other race necessities, like this mini fridge, my foot massager. Heck, I even had a big screen put in for my friends.
Rocks. Some people skip them, stack them, or just plain ignore them. But then there's these Texaco people. They love the darn things. Obsess over them. Go to the ends of the earth to find them. They study them, they scan them, even taste them. Why? You find the right rocks. You find the energy the world needs to keep on running. Texaco, a world of energy.
Learn what might have happened
He is playing with you, Mulder, and you are letting him.
to Agent Mulder's sister.
How are you going to find her without me?
The X-Files, tonight at 9, 8 Central.
20-7. Felipe Sparks. They hope he'll be back when the playoffs start next week. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Sandy Grossman. First down at the 20. Dave Brown gets to Tiki Barber, and Barber strides past the first down marker. And they'll move the sticks. Associate director is Mike Roig. Broadcast associates Fran Morrison and Charles McDonald. The technical producer is Bob Mueller. Studio is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And there's a Cowboy down. I think it's Brock Marion, who's had a really, really fine year. One of the few Cowboys who did. But he and Darren Woodson, those two safeties, really stood out.
Yeah, there he is right there. You see him making the tackle and falling right there. In fact, he ran right into someone on the Giant sideline. It wasn't a Giant player. It was someone in civilian clothes. I mean, that's one thing that if you're going to be on the sidelines, you have to learn to get out of the way when the players come, and you have to give them a free sideline.
Well, you know, Brock had a bad shoulder, and he landed right on that shoulder.
I mean, the Giants didn't do a very good job of clearing that sideline when Brock Marion was coming over there, and he hit one of their guys standing there.
A little bit more that we know about next week. It'll be Detroit, Washington, or Minnesota at Tampa Bay. Next Sunday, the coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern time, and John, looks like you'll be heading south.
Okay, so I know where I'm going now. Just don't know how I'm going to get there.
Or who's
because I got a broken bus. But or
who you
I
have
don't
to
know
study
who's
for.
going to play.
Yeah.
No, well, you know, Tampa Bay. Then I know this: if Detroit wins, it'll be Detroit at Tampa Bay.
Brock Marion headed for the sideline, and again, it's been a very, very fine year for Brock Marion. First and 10 Giants at their own 37. Tiki Barber again looking for someplace to go, runs into Chad Hennings. Look at Brock Marion as he came out on the sidelines in front of the Giant bench.
Yeah, and the thing that you have to know when you're on the sideline is you have to know and feel them coming, and you can't just stand there like that. I mean, you have to get out of the way. Everyone, you know, has to back up. See right in there, he rolls into a Giant coach who
and Charles
didn't
Way
look like he was looking, and Charles Way, who didn't look like he was looking. That's one thing. If you're going to be on the sideline, I know this from having been in my life, you have to have your head on a swivel.
Final score: the Buccaneers beat the Bears 31-15 in Tampa.
There's 3 generations of Buchanans.
Yeah.
Buck Buchanan there in the middle, the equipment.
And there's
man,
another generation.
Forever. and his son, who's the equipment man now for the Dallas Cowboys, and then his son. 3 generations of Bucks.
Tell you what, back to when the Cowboys were, when they came into the NFL back in 1960, Buck Buchanan was there, and could he tell some stories?
He probably still can. I saw him. It was pouring down rain yesterday, and he was walking in the facility doing something. So I thought he was retired, and he said, well, his wife's tired of him, so she kicks him out of the house all the time.
Hard to retire.
And the only place old Buck knows to go is to the Cowboys locker room.
Just went in and
equipment room.
Pack a bag.
I think that's where old Buck's heading right now, to the Cowboy locker room.
Tiki Barber knocked backwards.
You know, we talk about the job that the Cowboys have to do, but how about the job that the Giants did? And you know, in building this team, and you know, and George Young, and you know, and his staff, they took a lot of heat that, you know, that they weren't getting the players, and that the game had passed George Young by, and then quietly he went. He hired this guy, Jim Fossil. He got the players. And then look at this team that they've built. I mean, he built it through the draft. 37 draft picks, 25 free agents.
George has always believed that's the way you build, through the draft. But of course, the complexion of the game has changed.
Yeah, but George has shown that his way still works.
Yeah.
And you know, in the end, George is there, and he's not the type of guy who's going to come and say, "Hey, look at me," or any of those types of things. But I know right now that George Young, I know that Wellington Mara, and Bob Tisch, they're very, very proud of the job that they did and the way they did it.
And George Young might be headed for a position in the league office, as Kevin Mathis watches the ball sail over his head and be downed at the 14. Coming up next after football, don't miss the world's best freestyle aerial artists and mogul masters as they compete to see who will be crowned king of the hill. It's the sprint bumps and jumps coming up next here on Fox. And right now on Fox, the final moments of this NFC Eastern match between the Giants and the Cowboys. And it looks like the Giants, one of the things that they all talked about when we met with them yesterday was, we'd like to be the first team to go through the NFC East season undefeated, and they've just about accomplished that purpose.
And the other thing is, winning 10 games is big too. Winning your division is big. Being in the playoffs, all those things, and then dominating Dallas is big.
Michael Irvin makes the catch from Jason Garrett.
You know, for years, the dominant team in that division, of course, had been the Dallas Cowboys. So when you can beat them and beat them twice and win the division, then that's a feeling of accomplishment, because you know you're very close to a Super Bowl now, because just 2 years ago, these Cowboys won the Super Bowl.
Steve Cypress now playing right guard next to Eric Williams. Could be looking at an offensive line of the future. Here's Jason Garrett. Drops it out to Sherman Williams, and Sherman gets far enough for a first down.
You know, and that's one thing the Cowboys are going to have to get back to, is an offensive line and a running game and those kinds of things, because that's what really happened. If you look at the evolution, you know, because they couldn't run, then they opened the formations, and then they got the blitzes, and they couldn't handle the blitzes.
Incomplete, intended for Stepford Williams. Jason Garrett. There's another guy who's been here twice, Tony Casillas. This might be his last game. As you can see, Washington 35, Philadelphia 32. So the Redskins kept their hopes alive.
And they just have to wait now for the results of Minnesota and Detroit, because Washington had to win their game, which they did, and to get into playoffs, they need a loss by either Detroit, who plays later today, or Minnesota, who's playing right now.
Detroit plays the Jets. They might have the most difficult task as far as opposition is concerned. A pass complete to Stepford Williams from Garrett. A lot of people have asked for a long, long time, why isn't, well, the hat's already made.
Well, they had the hats made last week.
Yeah.
When they won last week and they won their division, those hats came out then, and they're just staying out because they're Eastern Division champions.
A lot of people wondered why Jason Garrett is not the #2 quarterback as far as the Cowboys are concerned. It's Wade Wilson instead. And the reason they always give you is it's arm strength. He just doesn't have the arm strength to be the #1 backup man.
But he's a good third guy because he's very smart, and you know, and he works with Troy Aikman. He calls the plays in, works it, does those kinds of things, and very switcher. I wonder what thoughts are going through his mind now. I wonder if he's thinking that maybe he's in the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds of his Cowboy career.
He'll always be able to say, well, I won a Super Bowl his first year.
And he'll be able to say he won a lot of games.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at records and coaching records, Barry Switzer, at college and the pros has had great records.
Unmatched.
And and you hate to talk about what's going to happen to someone because I mean a lot of these things are people's lives. I mean people throw these things around like this assistant coach is going to go or that assistant coach or all these changes are going to make, but you have to realize that that these coaches are people too.
Yep.
And they have families, and this is a big thing.
That's Barber. He gets around the corner. There's just exactly what you were talking about. These are people who need to be able to say what's going to happen from now on and get on with if this is the end in Dallas, a new job.
Yeah, and and you throw things around and forget that they are human beings. That again that that they have homes and families and moving and. It's easy just to criticize and jump on someone, but it's a pretty big deal.
Miller Lite presents.
In the cavernous depths of the Superdome dwells a true beast of the gridiron, known simply as Fetch Monster. This spirited canine has earned her place among the league's top T fetchers, walking in the footsteps of heroes, but with twice as many feet. She's proving that while there is no I in team, there is also no I in dog.
Where was it? I don't know. What do you mean? I'm not sure, but I think we should get out of here.
Sports fans, and boy, do we have a great matchup for you today. Both of these teams are looking to make up some ground.
Mark, if you're at the airport before my 8 o'clock flight, maybe we can talk. Otherwise, it's over.
Come on! Oh, sure. Oh, no! That's battery!
No matter what my customers drive, they depend on AC Delco batteries. They last up to 30% longer.
I'm sure they do. Just give me the generic equipment, okay?
AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
Stoico. Eldridge. Only one will have the edge heading into the Olympics. The Prime Star Skate International Champions Finals on Fox.
20-7, the Giants lead the Cowboys. 2 minutes to go at Texas Stadium. Giant ball at the Cowboys 23.
Yeah, you look at that sideline and you just realize how much fun winning is. Everyone is having fun now.
Tiki Barber to about the 16. On the other side, it doesn't look so happy. But on this side, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why you play. I mean, they talk about, professional and they make a lot of money and big salaries and all that. But winning is what it's all about. And if you win, all those other things go away. It doesn't make any difference. And when you lose, doggone, there's no one that can help you.
Bill Bates, I'm sure, will be somewhere in the Cowboy organization. If he's not in uniform, I'm sure he'll be around somewhere. He's the kind of cornerstone you'd like to build whatever on. Runs into Antonio Anderson.
For the Cowboys, it's a finality, you know, knowing that they're in their last minute. And for the Giants, it's still life. I mean,
It's
you know
rekindle time.
Yeah, that you have a life, and then you get into the playoffs. Then you step it up another notch. I mean, you know that you have preseason play, and then they just swept the division.
Swept the Cowboys.
They swept the Cowboys. They swept the division. Tito Wooten must have been thinking about that. He had to put some thought in that. Hey, let me have a broom because I want to show that we're sweeping stuff this year.
That's good. Barber again. The first NFC East team to go undefeated in their own division for an entire season. They, of course, had the tie with the Redskins, but did not lose. And Barry Switzer walks off, maybe for the final time as the head coach of that man's team, Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, as Jerry Jones says, he had some hard decisions. One of them won't be Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman is going to be back and be the quarterback of the Cowboys next year. But what a job this man's done. Jim Fossil, winning 10 games with this team is amazing.
It really is. There's Darrell Johnston offering his congratulations.
So sometimes you win your division, you go into the playoffs, and just chills are going through you as you walk off the field like that, and you just want to laugh.
Right now, let's go down to the sidelines and Michael Ducey with Mike Strahan.
All right, Pat, thank you. Michael Strahan, what does it mean to the New York Giants to get this victory to cap this kind of a season?
Big. I mean, especially going into the playoff, we need the momentum. But not only that, we haven't beaten these guys since '89 in Dallas. And this is who everybody's always measured themselves against. And to come here and win in Dallas, I mean, we can't ask for any more than that.
Lots of emotion on that field today.
A lot of emotion, you know. Guys, we fought hard all year. These guys have played hard all year, and it boiled down. We were looking forward to this game at the beginning. And to come in and win this at the end of the season, it doesn't matter if it counted or not. We're extremely happy.
What do the Giants have to do to make a real run in the postseason?
Continue to play well. I think the first units went out today and played extremely well. And the longer we can keep that going, I think we got as good a chance as anybody else.
Michael Strahan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike Ducey with Michael Strahan. Thank you, Mike. This play of the game is brought to you by Energizer. Rodney Hampton. And he made the touchdown look easy. Rodney Hampton back after spending most of the year on the injured list. So the final score here at Texas Stadium is the Giants 20, the Cowboys 7. Coming up on the NASDAQ postgame report, we'll get you up to date on all the scores from around the league. Also, our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all next on the NASDAQ postgame report.
He's a-making.
Seattle, Mike, Joe, Jaws on the call of the Kingdom, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Tonight, the NFL's best, the San Francisco 49ers, in their final playoff tune-up, take on the Seattle Seahawks on ESPN. Sunday night, NFL. It began as a nightmare of extreme proportions, an opening day loss. Steve Young knocked down and out, his future clouded, and Jerry Rice seemingly done for the season. But the 49ers responded as the champions they once were, and again hope to be, winning an NFL best 13 games.
The standards here are such that if you come to San Francisco, that means you're about winning. That means you're about winning Super Bowls.
And that road now goes through San Francisco, a path the Niners hope leads to a record 6th Super Bowl title. Needle in the Great Pacific Northwest, where tonight the Seattle Seahawks host the 13-2 San Francisco 49ers. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick. It's great to have you with us. When the San Francisco 49ers named Steve Mariucci as their head coach, a lot of people thought it was a huge gamble. Well, all Mariucci has done is take a great team and make them even better, and he did it without Jerry Rice. He has transformed a finesse passing team into a club that can dominate running the football as well as throwing the football. And the cornerstone of his offense, the great quarterback Steve Young, will wrap up his 6th NFL passing title tonight in 7 years. Let me bring in my partner, Joe Theismann. And Joe, with the home field advantage already wrapped up, the 49ers will not play their starters very long tonight, but that's not going to affect what Seattle has to do.
No, it really won't, Mike. Even though Seattle is not going to the playoffs, this is a very important game for the franchise. Dennis Erickson's job is up in the air, although he believes he'll be back, but management hasn't said anything. And if he can win tonight, it could sure help his chances. Also, if Erickson is back, that means that there's a real good chance that Warren Moon will be back here running this football team. And when I talked to Warren on Friday, I got the distinct impression that whether or not he retired would depend on Coach Erickson returning. If he doesn't, then we might be watching the final game of one of the most prolific passers of all time and a future Hall of Famer.
All right, Joe, we'll have more on that topic throughout tonight. The Seahawks and the 49ers back for the opening kickoff in just 30 seconds. The veteran football coach, Steve Mariucci, the rookie in the NFL, and what different results they've had out of their first season. The 49ers have won the toss. They'll get the football first. Todd Peterson to kick it to Chuck Levy. A dramatic turnaround in his life, getting a chance to play football again, and he's done a terrific job as a return man for the San Francisco 49ers. We are underway in Seattle. Levy from the 3. And dives out near the 30-yard line. San Francisco's offense directed by Steve Young, making a serious bid for a 3rd MVP award. He's thrown 19 touchdowns with only 6 picks. With the injury to Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens has stepped up with career highs in virtually every category. The offensive line much more physical than in the past. Kevin Gogan, the main reason. The 330-pound mauler is on his way to the Pro Bowl. Spotted at the 27, 1st and 10. Terry Kirby with Garrison Hurst out with the injury, gets a carry, and Kirby breaks it across the 45 to the 46-yard line, a gain of 19. He says he wants to be seen as a running back, not just a 3rd down guy.
He really feels like he's finally getting a chance to show what he can do. He's worked real hard, does a nice job of sliding across. Terrific block by Mark Edwards, number 44, the fullback, to spring the hole. And then he squares up and heads north-south.
One play, 19 yards, a dual sport athlete at Virginia. He was a terrific basketball player as well. Young with a short set out in the flat. He's got his first completion to J.J. Stokes in the Seattle territory. Seattle's defense led by a tenacious pass rushing line. Michael Sinclair, number 1 in sacks with 10. He's a Pro Bowler for the 2nd straight year. The club's biggest free agent signing, linebacker Chad Brown, as he has become more familiar with the defense. He's produced a team-leading 96 tackles. And Darrell Williams has earned a Pro Bowl start with 8 interceptions this year, number 2 in the NFL. One of the many Seattle injuries this season, All-Pro Cortez Kennedy. The defensive tackle, they have been really ripped by the injury bug this year. Wells makes the tackle on Kirby for no gain. Wells, the middle linebacker out of Kentucky.
Mike, with San Francisco's running game, you can afford to play your linebackers a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage because they don't have the ability to bounce up inside and then take a long sweep the end type of run. There's Marty Morningweg, the offensive coordinator of the 49ers, new this year with Coach Mariucci.
3rd and 2, opening possession of the ball game for the 49ers. Comes the blitz. Young unloads, and Brent Jones makes the catch at the 35-yard line. Jones makes his 417th career catch in his final season as a pro.
And, Mike, I think you can take a look at the struggles that the 49ers have had on offense and relate them to Brent Jones not being in. Here he just gets a free release. You get the ball anywhere near him, he has the ability to make plays. No, it's not a perfect pass, but the receiver goes up to make the play.
Jones has been doing that for a dozen years for the 49ers. Another first down, San Francisco. Young on first down, Stokes lost the ball. Was he down? He was. That was some grab by J.J. Stokes.
Well, Mike, he's so big. I mean, he's 6'4". There's such great range where Steve Young has an opportunity to put the football. You don't have to throw the ball perfect to somebody that big. They can just go out and grab it out of the air. This is that skinny post they run. He just snatches it in the air. Now, the only question is his knee on the ground when the ball comes out?
Well, from one angle, it looked like his knee was down first.
Hey, listen, after watching that New York Jet game today, I won't say anything about officiating.
Young for the end zone. Jones couldn't hold it. He was blasted by Bellamy and Williams, and Jones is down.
They work the middle of the football field. He gets around Wells. The ball is put there. Boy, Bellamy comes in and just does a terrific job. Give them a little harder time down the middle. They don't want to give the wide receivers too much room, and you got to pop them when they get close.
Boy, Bellamy delivered the first hit, and then Darrell Williams finished him off.
And that's just good defensive football. And I really think, Mike, that that's going to be the challenge for Seattle defensively tonight, is going to be able to try and control the middle of the football field, because I know they're going to be conscious of trying to take those two wide receivers away.
Bellamy's really come on since Benny Blades was hurt and he had to play. Let's go back and take a look at J.J. Stokes, the guy that they have been waiting for to become a great player. Let's take a look and see if it's out.
No.
Knee's down,
I think the knee is down. It's close enough to go the right way, and that was the way for San Francisco to keep the football. Steve Mariucci is new head coach of the 49ers. Didn't really want to change a lot. Said he only wanted to change about 15%. And then as the season went on, about 18%. And the veteran players sort of started to call him on it.
While they attend to Brent Jones, we'll break away. We'll be back in a moment.
Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Travelers Insurance. What we all want, Travelers Insurance provides. Something to hold on to. By Honda, vehicles designed to help simplify your life. And by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's?
Magnificent downtown Seattle the week before Christmas. 49ers with the football, 2nd and 10 from the 12. Chad Fan is in his tight end. Delay to Edwards. And Edwards wrapped up the 11-yard line. Chad Brown in on the stop along with Daniels. Inside the 20, the San Francisco 49ers, of course, they've gotten there an awful lot, but only 14th this year. But they do have number 2 in points in the NFL. The last 4 years, Steve Young with a rating over 102. And look, 61 touchdown passes, 4 picks.
The accuracy with which he throws the ball is always the most amazing thing to me.
3rd and 8. Early movement, they'll stop the play. Derek Deese, the left tackle. Step back before the snap. Derek Deese had not played.
Before the snap, false start by the offense, number 63. 5-yard penalty, it's still 3rd down.
Deese had not played tackle before this year since junior college.
And, Mike, you know, that was the one thing I talked to the offensive linemen yesterday when they had their walkthrough for the 49ers. They said their biggest concern is being able to hear the cadence from Steve Young, because this is where the 12th man started here in Seattle with all the noise.
3rd and 13. Looking for Owens, overthrown. Covered well by Fred Thomas. And the 49ers will have to settle for a field goal.
Mike, that's a big challenge for Fred Thomas. He's 5'9", going up against Terrell Owens at 6'3". Steve Young just wants to put the ball up so that his big guys can make plays on the ball.
With a field goal here, Gary Anderson can tie Nick Lowry for #1 all-time, 383 career. This will be from 34 yards out. Has ever kicked more field goals in the NFL now than Gary Anderson. 383 along with Nick Lowry. It's 3-0 49ers. Greatest shopping district you will ever see. Paul Allen, who bought the ball club from Ken Behring and is the co-founder of Microsoft. Folding money, no problem for Paul Allen, and him buying into the club. Delightful for the people of Seattle. His biggest decision coming up, what to do about the future of that man, Dennis Erickson. They want to hire a high-profile GM, and that usually means they bring in a new coach, but we'll have to see. Broussard from the 10 on the return. Got a good block from Strong, and Steve Broussard down the sideline into 49er territory. Tyrone Drakeford saved a touchdown.
Mike, that's one area that the Seattle Seahawks can certainly use a lift. Their special teams have been extremely disappointing. And that time, Dave Arnold got what he wanted from his special teams. It's a good job. Watch the crease. He gets up into the wedge, and that's what you have to do. Hug the wedge. Now let him break a little hole, and you got to hit it in a heartbeat. He does a good job of working up the sidelines, make the kicker miss. Now, look at the wedge guys. They're holding their hands so that they stay a certain amount of distance from one another.
Chris Warren is the single setback. Warren hit in the backfield by Drakeford. He'll lose 5 or 6 yards. Seattle offense led by Warren Moon, having one of his finest years at age 41. He's thrown for almost 3,500 yards. His #1 target, Joey Galloway, who also has a career-high 66 catches and ranks in the AFC's top 10 in both receptions and yards. The offensive line extremely young. The left tackle, a rookie with only 1 year of major college football. And yet Walter Jones may be the best first-year lineman in the NFL. Warren, nice hold this time. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage. San Francisco's top-ranked defense anchored by Dana Stubblefield, trying to become the first defensive tackle ever to lead the NFL in sacks. Linebacker Ken Norton Jr., a master at getting off of blocks, 135 tackles, the 6th time he's been over 100. And Merton Hanks leads a secondary that has 23 interceptions. Hanks has half a dozen, giving him 22 the last 4 years. Bryant Young on the left, Rod Woodson on the right. They are sitting out with injuries. If this was a playoff game, they could have played. 3rd and 10 for Warren Moon. And throws too high to the sideline, trying to hit James McKnight. So Seattle squanders excellent field position on the kickoff return. And Joe, you said Seattle's special teams haven't been very good. That was very kind. They have been absolutely awful.
Well, they've been really the reason why their record is where it is. They should have won at least 3 more football games had they not created problems in their special teams. But I think that 1st and 10 is going to be so critical for Seattle tonight. Like you saw with the big loss it allowed San Francisco to dictate them and make them throw for long yardage.
Ron Stark to punt to Ahani Owezika. Puts it 7 yards deep into the end zone. A 46-yard kick, but a net of only 26. And not a good job by the punting unit. 3-0 49ers. Is done. He has suffered a concussion, and the 12-year veteran will sit out the rest of the night. That means Chad Fan is the only remaining tight end. The 5-year man out of Florida A&M, Greg Clark, the rookie, was deactivated before the game. So Fan will have to go the distance. Kirby. Stutter step. Sam Adams and Wells were there. This is not the San Francisco offense people have come to know and love over the years. They are running the ball 53% of the time, which is 3rd in the NFL. And I think if you're going to win more Super Bowls, this is something they had to do.
Well, it's the one thing Steve Mariucci wanted to do. I mean, he went out and got Garrison Hurst. They want to keep the defense off the field. They want to be a two-dimensional offense. He wanted to protect his star. That's why they're running the ball more.
Young under pressure, throws over the middle, knocked down by Bellamy against Tan. And the reason he wanted to protect Steve Young is because he had suffered all those concussions, and people were talking about his career might be over. And although a guy like Steve Young is so competitive, he's going to resist being protected, but Steve Mariucci's doing everything he can. It's held them under 200 yards a game passing for the first time, but the bottom line is winning, and they're still winning.
It's much more difficult to defend a two-dimensional offense than it is one. That's why everybody wants to shut down the run.
That's Al Woodall being taken to, or Lee Woodall being taken to the locker room early. Owezike with a catch up at the 36. It'll be a first down. Darrell Williams nailed him, but it's a gain of 16.
Mike, I think what you're going to see tonight from San Francisco is they're going to want to work the ball inside the numbers. Seattle's going to want to take away the two wide receivers outside. So whether it's going to be Owezike or Fan down the middle of the football field, that would be the area that San Francisco will want to work against Seattle's defense. Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator. Well, I got to tell you, he's done a terrific job since he's been here in 3 years. They just get better and better and better.
Young in the flat to Edwards. And Edwards with a tough run down to the 45-yard line. NFL Prime Monday tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Mike Tirico, Tom Jackson, and Sterling Sharp preview the huge Monday night game between the Patriots and the Dolphins. We'll have live reports from Pro Player Stadium. Chris Mortensen with the latest NFL news, and Leslie Visser goes backstage with Dolphin rookies Derek Rogers and Jason Taylor. Tomorrow night, Prime Monday. Seattle, Washington, the site for tonight's Sunday night NFL game. The 49ers on the move inside the Kingdome. Screen to Kirby. Nice play by the backup linebacker, Michael Barber.
Michael, that's something you see. That's Kevin Gogan out there. That's a 330-pound guard out in front of a screen, and that's really one of the areas that the 49ers have added on their offensive line. Ray Brown over 300 pounds, Kevin Gogan over 300 pounds. They've become more of a straight-ahead, zone-blocking type of football team to help out the running game. And you see the big guy get out front throwing himself.
And it's not just a question of size or bulk. Gogan's got an attitude to go with it. 2nd and 5. Young on a little sprint out, throws to Owens. Terrell Owens diving for the first down. This rhythm passing game of the 49ers, when Steve Young is on time, which is 95% of the time it seems, it almost looks unstoppable.
The fact that he's throwing for 68% pass completion to me, Mike, is absolutely an astounding effort in itself. I mean, Brett Favre is a fabulous quarterback. Great candidate, again, for MVP. I mean, tonight Steve Young is 7 for 10. And, you know, look at the pass completions. Above 70%. 5 games. That's unbelievable.
Remarkable. 3rd and less than a yard. Owens in motion. Kirby diving. I don't think he made it. Looks like they'll spot him a couple of lengths of a football short. Michael Sinclair on the tackle. Mariucci, as a head coach, much looser than both of his predecessors, in fact, George Seifert and Bill Walsh.
Well, he's looser in one regard because he likes to have a little more fun. Bill Walsh and both George Seifert a little more staid in the way they did things. Mooch likes to get out and have a good time, and he realized that this is a football team that enjoys itself. A lot of characters with character on this football team, and he's a head coach that fits that role.
Said his first goal was to be himself. You can't come in at his age and, you know, not be yourself, try to be somebody else, because the players aren't going to buy into it.
That was his #1 goal, be himself. Michael Sinclair makes a play here, number 70. He's on Chad Fan. He goes inside hard and manages to trip up Kirby.
4th and short, the 49ers will go for it. This is a top 10 defense. Kirby should have it. It is really loud in here. This is only the third sellout this year here in Seattle.
Mike, I'll tell you, for Dennis Erickson's defense, it's important to realize that another aspect of San Francisco's offensive line, now with Kevin Gogan at right guard, you have somebody that you can run over in short yardage situations. With a finesse line, it's not that easy. There's big number 66, just creating a hole so that Mark Edwards can go through and then allow Terry Kirby to follow him in. But that's the other aspect that's real subtle. But when that offensive line gets bigger, you then can pound it for short yardage.
And that was really the element that was missing in this football team. When they needed those 3rd and 1s, more often than not, you would see Steve Young trying to make a play. 4:48 to go first quarter. 49ers already up 3-0, driving for more. 1st and 10 at the Seahawk 33-yard line. Kirby, nice acceleration through the hole. Kirby to the 26, a gain of about 9.
Mike, there's another difference in San Francisco's offense. We think of the West Coast offense as a split-back offense, fullback on one side, halfback on the other. Now they've gone to more of an I-back with Terry Kirby and Mark Edwards. There's Gogan over here, number 66. He's just going to fire away. The backs are going to come through right behind him. Little set, little turn. Give him an opportunity to run. That's the big thing. If you engage a defensive lineman, he's not going to be able to tackle the back with one arm.
Well, Gogan with about a 60-pound weight advantage over Matt LaBounty, the man he blocked on that play. Kirby again on 2nd and short. Nailed. And once again, Michael Barber, the 3rd-year man out of Clemson, makes a nice play. Barber, a kid that wasn't drafted. He played hurt at Clemson almost all the time. Did look very good on film, but they gave him a tryout and found they had a diamond in the rough. They'll bring the chains in to measure for a first down again, just inside the 24-yard line.
You know, Mike, when you sit down with Mooch, Steve Mariucci, you can just see the love and passion for the game in his eyes. I mean, he has such a love for what he's doing and the excitement of the game, every aspect of it. He talked about last Monday night against Denver. So what a great atmosphere it was. It was just great to be there and be a part of it.
Well, how would you like to get your first head coaching job in the NFL and it turns out to be the 49ers?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd rather have that one than a few others, to be honest with you.
And you usually don't start at or near the top.
That's
usually
right.
You start at the bottom.
I think it's so tough, too, but there's such a standard that's been set that you have to maintain it.
Young with good protection. Stokes couldn't hold it in the end zone. Sean Springs, the rookie, was covering, but it was a perfect throw and a very catchable ball.
Sean Springs had been out for the last 7 weeks, finally getting a chance to get back in the lineup after the broken hand. J.J. does a nice job pushing out. Now, this is where Steve wants to throw him the ball. That's a catchable ball. That's exactly where J.J. likes it, away from his body and high. Springs does a good job of getting in. J.J. just can't quite hang on.
Well, I think he catches the ball unless Springs gets there to bust it up.